Today, BQool invited a Flips Nation. He went all the way from selling textbooks online to successful Amazon business. Can you tell us how did it all started? When you just started to sell on Amazon, how do you think private label and online arbitrage are different? What kind of difficulties do you face when you sell private label? And what do you think is the secret to succeed on Amazon?
Continue? See, you're gonna edit some things out, right?
Let's welcome Rob on our channel. Today he's gonna tell us all the tips and strategies for online arbitrage and private label as well.
Hello, thank you all for having me.
Can you introduce yourself to some people who don't know you yet?
My name is Rob. As you said, I'm a six-figure Amazon seller. I primarily do online arbitrage model, but I do have a private label brand that I maintain. It's actually how I started in the Amazon selling space. It wasn't really in the conventional way that most people do with the launch. I'm a hardcore NBA fan. I've had an NBA League Pass subscription for as long as I can remember. I love sneakers. I used to resell sneakers, so transitioning into reselling not only shoes, but also into Amazon was, easy transition.
Okay, perfect. So can you tell us how did it all started? What was your first online business? What was your motivation to start online business?
Sure. So this was actually not my first online business. My first online business was actually a proxy company called Nocturnal Proxies. We sold proxies to a wide variety of customers, mostly sneaker botters and retail botters. Fortunately for us, Amazon brand already has trust. That's why I believe we live in this time where we sell on Amazon. It's such a great opportunity. I started Nocturnal Proxies back in 2019. We sold it in 2022. But yeah, so first online business was a proxy business. Then I kind of transitioned on to Amazon.
When you just started to sell on Amazon, what was the first products you used to sell there?
It's interesting. I first started selling on Amazon when I was still in college. I didn't have much money at that time, so I was kind of looking for routes to generate traffic. My first product that I ever sold was a Nike Pegasus shoe. Yeah, this is mainly because I was already reselling sneakers. So when I first came into Amazon, I was kind of trying to stay in that category, if you will, but not as hype shoes. That's why it ended up being a Nike Pegasus.
Okay, great. What kind of products do you sell for online arbitrage?
When I first started out selling, it was just shoes. Seasoned sellers would argue against this. They always suggest to go wide, not deep. But I think when a seller first starts, there's a bevy of products on Amazon. There's a bevy of categories on Amazon, and it can get really overwhelming. I think you should come on and look at just one category that you're familiar with, whether it's beauty, whether it's shoes. Start something like that you're familiar with first. Learn all the units and the products within that category first, because I promise you, if you do that, you get familiar with these different kind of products, you'll feel more inclined to continue and you'll still be motivated.
And when you look for the product to sell for online arbitrage, what things you would suggest to people?
That all kind of depends. If it's shoes, I would say an ROI of at least 30 to 40%. You'll find that shoes people tend to return a lot, as well as apparel. That's why people kind of stay away from shoes. I enjoy shoes just because that profit margin is so large per shoe, and I can hit my spending goals a lot quicker. Typically, I look for at least 20 to 25%, and for shoes, at least 30 to 40%. As far as the number of sellers on a listing, if the item is only selling 100 units a month, and there's 10 sellers, theoretically, 100 sales divided by 100 sellers, you're going to contribute 10 sales a month. So I kind of look at it from that aspect, and then that'll also carry on to how much return on investment I look for on a specific product.
Okay, perfect. And then what do you think is difficulties or challenges do you face for online arbitrage?
I guess the first difficulty that I had was prepping. It took a lot of my time. I addressed it by getting a prep center, and I wish I did that way earlier. Even though I enjoyed prepping, it was just taking up too much time.
Thank you for sharing that. And what do you think is the secret to succeed on Amazon?
I think outside of just learning to perfect your skills would be to just be consistent. One tip I can give is, when I first started, I wanted to hit, let's say, $1,000 in revenue. I took $1,000 and I divided that out by 31 days. And then that averages out to about $31 a day. And I wanted to hit that $31 every day as my spending goal. And then that $1,000 became $2,000. That became $5,000, and so on and so forth. To get that spending goal, you're gonna have to work on sourcing, reverse sourcing, manual sourcing. Naturally, you're gonna get better at sourcing. What you spend will turn into profit, and you'll start seeing more and more money compound as your skills increase as your money increase, and overall your business will just grow in that facet.
Okay, why do you think some people fail on Amazon?
Well, as far as private label, I think private label is a business model that is not for the faint of heart. It requires a lot of education. I would recommend taking a course with private label from a formidable seller, because if you aren't educating yourself with private label, you're already destined to fail, because you're going to come in there thinking you only need to spend $5,000, $6,000 when that's really not the case. You're competing with big money that are spending tens of thousands of dollars on ads. You're just going to fail. You need to come in there with capital. You need to come in there with education. As far as online arbitrage, you need to also come in there with education, but you also need to be consistent. You don't want to look for short-term success. You want to look at it as a real business, the long-term success, not that shining gold object. And know that if you're consistent, then it will grow.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And then for your day, how do you usually plan it for your Amazon business?
Every day I get leads sent in from my VAs. I put a green highlight on the good leads. I put a red highlight on the bad leads. They're not bad. They're not worth it for me, right? But I always give a reason why that's the case. You got to tell them why you didn't think it was a good lead, so you guys can have a relationship and some sort of common knowledge as to what you want to look for. After that, I go over to my prep center's dashboard to see if there's any units that are ready to be prepped. Usually my prep center will show an X amount of units that are ready to send off, but they're not going to send it off till I kind of make that order. You want your cash flow moving every single day. You want those sales to happen every single day so you can get that money back and you can buy more inventory. In addition to that, I go on to BQool. I think it's really imperative, even though the repricing is amazing, the automation is amazing, you want to always kind of keep looking at your repricer settings, look at the prices, make sure that's all up to date. You want to also go over to your Amazon seller's dashboard, look at your performance, make sure there's no flags on various things because you don't want your performance going downhill. Those would be my various things that I do on a daily basis.
Okay, perfect. And now let's go to the product sourcing, because product sourcing is the most important part of Amazon business, right? How do you usually do your product sourcing, and any specific strategies you usually use for that?
With the sourcing, I want to give you a good gem. The normal thing first, of course, you start with storefront stocking. You want to find the sellers that are already doing well and go onto their catalog and see what's doing well, right? Because if they have a bunch of reviews, huge catalog, they're obviously doing well. You want to emulate what they're doing. So you want to go on their store and look at their aces. When you find a good store, you want to take note of that seller and keep going back to their store every day to see they've added new products. When you have more and more leads, now you have good leads to start from when you reverse source. In addition to that, you want to minimize your buy cost as much as possible. And to do that, you can use discounted gift cards on raise.com. You want to use cashback credit cards. Theoretically, you're reducing your buy cost by getting more cash back. The three best cashback credit cards for a beginner that I suggest would be the Capital One Spark, the Amex Blue Business, and the Chase Ink Business.
How do you think private label and online arbitrage are different? I think a lot of Amazon sellers don't want to take the risk, but since you have the experience, what do you think, who should do the private label business?
For private label, I think there's way more ads on private label, and it really draws people in because some of those ads are just very misleading. People don't really realize how much capital it takes to not only start the brand, but also to maintain it. Just a lot of much more investment than one would think. A lot of ads are just like, we spent this $1,000 on a spatula and now we make $50,000 a month, and it's just not what it is. As it compares to online arbitrage, you don't have to grow a brand, grow an audience like you would with private label through Amazon ads. As a beginner, I still recommend going with online arbitrage first, just so you can get familiar with the Amazon seller dashboard, Amazon seller support, and all that kind of combined together before going into private label or wholesale.
I want to ask you, when did you know about BQool Repricer, and how did you know about it?
I had a friend who used to be in the sneaker industry with me. He was the one that kind of advised me, hey, you need to get a repricer. At that point, I was like, I'll manually do it myself. And then I kind of realized, I'm here just manually repricing every day. Within 3 weeks, I went over to BQool, which is what he was using. Y'all's prices are very reasonable and affordable in conjunction with how much time is saved. Well, I think BQool is just another route to outsource and save time, so you can put more time working on your business and not in your business. Since I had more time to work on a business, I found new ways to show my VAs tactics. I found new ways to put in processes for my business that my VAs can apply. So time saved 100% would be cool. Has helped me scale.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you for sharing that tips. Where people should go and find you on social media?
On social media, you can find me on YouTube, on Flips Nation AMZ. You can find me on Twitter at LakersNation91 and Instagram at FlipsNation24. In all of my social medias, in the bio, you'll find a link to my Discord group. It has a free packed online arbitrage course there. So information on BQool, information on a whole online arbitrage course is there to take advantage of that. A bunch of members in there right now. We just hit 1,000 members. I really enjoy running the business, but something that's also really fulfilling for me is helping people along the way. It really impacts myself positively when I see a community growing with each other. And you can find that in the Discord group, in the chat. I hope to see you there.
Guys, go and make sure to follow Flips Nation. Thank you so much for sharing like so many useful tips with all the people who watch this video. I hope you had a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll see you next time.